Welcome to Money Moves for CRNAs, the podcast created specifically for 1099 CRNAs who want clarity, confidence, and control over their money. This podcast is for educational purposes only and is not personalized tax or financial advice. Here's your host, Randy Larkin, CPA with Atlanta Tax Planner.
Hi, this is Randy Larkin. If you're a 1099 CRNA and you've ever worried about IRS penalties, audits, or what happens when you have to fight the IRS, you'll want to listen to this episode all the way through. Because something just happened in Congress that could change the rules of the game for small business owners like you. Now here's why today's episode matters. According to Accounting Today, the U.S. House of Representatives just passed two major tax bills that directly affect how the IRS applies penalties and how taxpayers like you can defend themselves in U.S. tax court. One bill focuses on IRS penalties and whether they're actually reviewed before being applied. The other changes the tax court process itself, making it fairer, faster, and more flexible for small business owners who need to challenge the IRS. If you're running your own CRNA business, even a simple audit or penalty can cost you thousands of dollars, time, and stress. These bills are designated to put more guardrails on the IRS and give taxpayers stronger protections. So today, we're breaking down what just passed, why it matters to 1099 CRNAs, and what you should know before you ever hear from the IRS. Last week, the U.S. House of Representatives passed two key tax-related bills that could have a significant impact on self-employed business owners like you, especially when it comes to dealing with the IRS and the U.S. tax court. The first bill is called Fair and Accountable IRS Reviews Act, FAIR Act, and it was introduced by Representative Glenn Grothman of Wisconsin. This bill clarifies a rule that affects how IRS agents apply penalties, which would be something you deal with if you ever get audited. Right now, IRS agents are supposed to get their supervisor's approval before applying penalties. However, a rule put in place under the Biden administration made it easier for agents to get that approval later in the process, and sometimes from supervisors who aren't directly responsible for the agent's work. This new rule made it harder for taxpayers to be sure their penalties were reviewed properly. The FAIR Act aims to fix this by requiring that any penalties must be approved in writing before the IRS agent contacts you about it. This bill ensures that the agent's direct supervisor or someone higher up has given the written approval, and this supervisor must be someone the agent reports to directly. This gives you more certainty that penalties are being applied fairly. Representative Grothman explained that this approval rule has been in place for decades to ensure fairness and transparency. He said it helps prevent penalties from being used as a way to pressure taxpayers. And it creates a clear record for you if you ever need to appeal or challenge a penalty. Chairman Jason Smith of the House Ways and Means Committee also spoke up, saying that taxpayers should never face penalties without proper review. He emphasized that IRS agents should not be able to look for a friendly supervisor to approve penalties, something that can be especially concerning for small business owners who already have enough to manage. Several business and taxpayer groups like the National Federation of Independent Business and the Taxpayers Protection Alliance, have already shown support for this bill, which means it has strong support in the small business community. The second bill passed last week is the Tax Court Improvement Act. This bill makes several changes to how the U.S. tax court operates, which could be useful if you ever need to dispute a tax bill or penalty with the IRS. For small business owners, especially those who are self-employed, dealing with the IRS and possibly having to go to tax court can be intimidating. This bill helps make that process a little easier and fairer. One of the biggest changes the bill makes is allowing the tax court to issue subpoenas before hearings, meaning the court can get documents and records earlier. This could speed up cases and reduce delays, which is important if you're trying to resolve a dispute with the IRS without it dragging on for months. The bill also ensures that tax court judges will be held to the same standards as other federal judges when it comes to conflicts of interest. This makes the process more fair and transparent for taxpayers, including small business owners. Additionally, the Tax Court Improvement Act allows the tax court to extend deadlines if you are unable to file on time, due to circumstances beyond your control. This is a helpful change, especially for those who might be juggling a busy schedule or dealing with unexpected events that might cause delay. Representative Sewell of Alabama, who introduced the bill, explained that the changes will speed up the process of getting documents and evidence in tax court. She also mentioned these reforms could have a positive impact on thousands of taxpayers, helping to resolve disputes faster and more efficiently. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you need to challenge a tax issue, the Tax Court Improvement Act aims to make it easier and more fair, especially for small business owners like you. Both bills have now been sent to the Senate Finance Committee for review, so keep an eye on them. These updates could make a big difference for small business owners like you, especially when it comes to dealing with the IRS and the tax court. Before we wrap up, here's the big takeaway. The IRS and the tax court don't change their rules very often, so when Congress passes bills like these, it's worth paying attention. Not because it means something is wrong, but because it changes how much protection and flexibility taxpayers like you may have. If you're a 1099 CRNA, the goal isn't to wait until there's a problem. It's to understand where you stand before the IRS ever shows up with questions. If today's episode raised concerns or just made you want clarity, you can visit CRNAtaxes.com to learn more or schedule a strategy session with our team at Atlanta Tax Planner. We work exclusively with CRNAs, and our focus is helping you plan ahead, not react later.
Thanks for listening to Money Moves for CRNAs. New episodes drop twice a month. See you soon. Music licensed from PremiumBeat.com. Under license number 7394047.